Hello, everybody. Welcome back to this, the first sixth form assembly of the Lent term. Thank you for putting up with the disruption of this week and so quickly organising yourselves into your online lessons and switching your learning to this style of technological fix. Some of you are becoming very adept at it. The timetable for the day remains the same as in Michaelmas term, with the exception of form times, which will now shorten to 16:05 as being the end of the day, though there is Forder starting at 16:30, and the email I sent you yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, I cannot actually remember now, Wednesday night I think, will lists and details how you can sign on for the SOCS, for the Forder activities through the SOCS system. That deadline closes on Friday, so when you see this assembly, please, and you haven't completed Forder and you'd like to be part of Forder, please go and check your emails, and it will show you how to log on to that system. You'll obviously be worried about your exams. We are obviously working out contingency plans now that there will not be formal exams for year 13. We hope to have more by next week, and I am thinking of holding a meeting with your parents probably next Thursday about 5 o'clock, where we can talk further, you and your parents, and we can talk further about examinations and what an assessment system, new form of assessment system, might look like. Some of you have already written to me with questions, and I would just hold your horses, because things are in development yet, and we do not have clear answers for you. What we can say is that at the moment it's really important that you continue to complete your courses and complete homeworks and assessments that are set online, because these will become part of the evidence base by which the school is likely to assess you. I have been asked, should you continue to prepare for trial exams? Perhaps they would happen if we did return in Lent 2. I would say yes, you should, because even if you are not in the building in Lent 2, we might hold those online, or we may hold these after Easter return. So you need to continue your lessons as though they are still working towards an end goal, because they are. You are going to be given a grade, and that grade is not finalised yet, and new pieces of work continue to count. I should also say you're all going on university courses. Many of you are about to enter university courses, and you need to complete the your A-level studies, so that you are in a better position to cope with the studies at university. Year 12s, you are in the unfortunate position of having had your GCSEs exams stopped and switching to online learning. So you'll have some experience of this, but if you wanted me to bet my house on whether or not you will sit exams in the end of year 13, that is a bet I would be prepared to take. So it's really important that you are continuing your studies. The theme of today's assembly is, the theme of the week is creativity, but I just want to link creativity to mental health, because that's the thing that worries me most as the head of sixth form, and will be worrying your tutors and your heads of year, is your sense of isolation. We know it's a problem nationally, and we know from talking with you that many of you we're all in this situation where the day is exactly the same. We're having to talk through these technologies which seem like they're alive, but in fact are, in the end, dead quartz screens, and I'm now going to be picked up by the geography department, aren't I? Because the screens are probably not made of quartz anymore. But picking up my theme, the thing that I would like to suggest to you as a help with your mental health is reading. Reading for pleasure and reading as a way out of this particular world and into some fantastic other ones. Of course, I speak as an English teacher, but I don't really mean literature as study, I mean literature as a pastime. And I don't know if a number of you noticed in the Guardian newspaper last week before, there was a member of a boy band from the 1990s, East 17, Tony Mortimer, who became famous when he would have been 16, 17, 18 years old, and led East 17 to chart success, and he had a career established which he has lived with ever since, and now he's in his 50s. And I tell you about him because he'd never read a book until lockdown. Why would he? He had finished his formal education, and as with too many people, I fear, they just stop reading, or they never start. And he'd never started. And he wrote this wonderful article where, lockdown, he picked up a book and started reading it and realised, novels can do this amazing thing. He says, they made my worries disappear. And I believe that's true. And not only do I believe that's true as a teacher of English, I know because of what you've told us. One of the things, this is already something that many of you are using, but my particular Year 11 groups from last year, GCSE groups, they were reading, and a number of them wrote essays for us on what they got from that. And I just want to, and I had an amazing one from your friend of mine, Shin Shackleton, who thought we'd be in this position, Shin, when I started teaching you in Year 10. Shin, in Year 11, really was fired up to really begin reading properly, not, books that he'd been set, etc. And then he wrote us an essay about it, and he said, in that essay, he said, it became an escape from everyday trivia of quarantine, an escape from the depressing news stories, an escape from the fatigued feeling of confinement. And that is what reading can do for you, and I want you to remind you of it. It is a fantastic form of escape. You can see behind me numerous books which I have collected throughout my life, and those books for me personally are, as it were, a psychic wall, is the way I like to describe it. They are a series of stories, people and places who are out of this time, and they are a source of amazing comfort and solace to me, and have been throughout my life outside of lockdown. And if you want to go for a walk in the Alps, or a walk on the moon, or a walk to the deepest oceans, there are many ways in which you can do that now. You can obviously go and have camera footage of those things. But I believe that a novel in particular, or a short story, or a poem, can take you out of yourself and rearrange your time scheme. The author Saul Bellow, who won the Nobel Prize for Literature in the end, an American author, he said about all works of art, and if reading's not your thing, I ask you to think about music or looking at paintings, at painting itself, producing artworks. That Bellow said what an artwork does for you is that it rearranges, when you enter into it, if you take an example of a picture, staring at a picture, you enter into its time frame. And when you properly immerse yourself in a work of art, you are taken out of the time frame that we're currently living in, which can feel very static. So not only do novels give you the chance to take you to different places and meet different people, etc., but they also take you out of the flow of current time. And I hope you've all had this experience. As I say, it's not limited to reading, but it is the moment when you are in another world and you have forgotten about the world that we're currently in. And that, I think, is a help to all of our mental states of mind. And so I encourage you in this period that you can help yourselves by taking up reading. Many writers became writers because in childhood they went through a period of illness, which meant they were taken out of their daily lives. They had nothing to do except to read in bed. And that reading stayed with them all the time and built fantastic places in their mind, which they go back to. My current reading at the moment, and this is something we should all really encourage in each other, to talk about our reading with each other. My current reading, if you would like a suggestion, is this fantastic famous book by Susan Cooper, The Dark is Rising. Great to read at this time of year because it deals with the darkest days of the year, and it is really an absolutely thrilling classic. So that's what I'm reading at the moment. I suggest that you all look for things yourself, and that if you have the ability to buy books, I also think I'm going to say you shouldn't use Amazon to buy those books. Please go to a website like, actually I think it's called the Bookstore, but there are websites now which will pay, instead of paying Mr. Bezos extra money into his billionaire pockets, if you use those the bookstore websites, they will, when you buy a book, give money to your local bookshop, which of course is shut at the moment. Of course, you can also get e-texts, and I hope that you are starting to extend yourself, or will want to start to extend yourself, because this is one of the ways in which you can win back some personal mental space from where we all are. So, thank you for listening today, and we thank you for your work this week. Hope to see you again sooner rather than later, but that might have to be online. Okay, thanks very much, and do have a good weekend.